Hello and welcome to a surprise Final Fantasy set review. In this video, I'll be going over the bonus sheet, which I did not know existed, and be discussing all of the cards in it for their relative strengths in Limited. Um, Usually, I don't do like the set review for the special guests, but there isn't a special guest sheet this time. It's a bonus sheet, so I am doing one because the bonus sheet cards actually do matter. Usually, the special guest stuff is so rare that like almost like I don't want to put in the time to actually do it. But this bonus sheet is going to matter. Specifically, the uncommons are going to appear quite frequently, like the one on the screen here, Lightning Bolt, which we will get to in a bit. The rares are not going to appear as often. I don't remember the exact numbers, but the uncommons actually do matter and will be pretty relevant to the format. I will talk about all the cards anyway. There's actually quite a few of them. There's like 60 or something somewhere in that range. So without further ado, let's get into it. Oh wait, I forgot to have my 1 second. I need to have my little thing. I forgot this slide. I forgot to include it. This is the slide. If you haven't been to one of my set reviews before, these are the tiers I use to evaluate cards. There are 5 tiers. Tier 1's good, Tier 5 is bad. The tiers are meant to emulate sort of a general, like, when you would expect to take the cards or when you would be happiest to take the cards. It's not an exact science. Tier 2 is like, a lot of times you first pick Tier 2 cards. A lot of times, sometimes you'll even first pick a Tier 3 card. It's rare, but it does happen. It's not an exact science. It's more of a facilitation for me to talk about the cards and how they fit into the format, maybe some cool things about them. That's it. We're getting into the set review. We're going with Hero of Light, also known as Adeline, Resplendent Cathar from Midnight Hunt. 1 white for a star 4. It has Vigilance. Its power is equal to the number of creatures you control, and whenever you attack, for each opponent, create a 1/1 white human creature token that's tapped and attacking that player or planeswalker they control. So this card was busted in Midnight Hunt. It was one of the 5 best cards in the set. I imagine it is not. I imagine it's probably going to be there again. It's going to be great. I mean, it's obviously going to be sick. Adeline was busted. This is going to be. That's Adeline. One thing to note about some of these cards is that a lot of them look like they're for only Commander. I think I checked, and even the ones that are just for Commander are going to be in packs. There's no card that does Stone Nothing in this, but there are some that look like they're. We'll get to it in a bit. But anyways, Adeline's great. Adeline's busted. It is white, so you have to think about that. But yeah, I mean, I would put this into my any white deck, and I would try pretty hard to get this into my deck if I were uh, going to be able to see it in a pack. Knights of Sandora. 1 white for a 3/3. It's also Ranger Captain of Eos. When it enters, you may search your library for a creature card with mana value 1 or less, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle. You can sacrifice this creature. Your opponents can't cast non-creature spells this turn. Generally, that second mode isn't worth it unless you're going to win the game that turn. And even then, I don't know. Sometimes you just lose by doing that. There are some 1-drops to tutor with this, but you do need to build around it, and that's why it's in Tier 3 in addition to the double pip cost. It's fine. It's a fine 3-drop. You know, it's not really, there's nothing really exciting about it. Again, if you have the 1-drop, specifically the one that costs, the white one that costs 1 mana that can tutor copies of itself, this is pretty good with that. And you can like curve this into that 1-drop into tutor itself on turn 4. Like that's actually kind of a thing, and like this is helping you do that, and so maybe it's good there. But this is we're going to require some building around. It's not just generically good. So I put it in Tier 3 for that reason, but I think it's a fine card. The casting cost also is going to hurt people more than they think sometimes. Viridian Swordmaster or Saram Senior Edificer, 1 and a white for a 2/2. Whenever you cast an aura, equipment, or vehicle spell, draw a card. There's a lot of equipment in the set. We've seen this. This card turns all your equipment into cantrips. That's really strong. It's also just a reasonable 2-drop while it does that. If your opponent doesn't kill this on turn 2, it could run away with the game very easily. There actually are a couple of vehicles too, so, and obviously there's 1 or 2 auras. I don't know how many in white. There's always like 1, so yeah, I mean, imagine is this the best SRAM has ever been in a limited set? The last time they reprinted it, I think, was in the Brothers War bonus sheet, and it was terrible. I think it's going to be, well, it's obviously going to be a lot better here. It might have been good in its original limited environment. I don't think it was, though. I don't think it's going to be as good as it is in this set, because you can play so many equipment. Blessing of the Oracle, or also known as Akroma's Will. 3 and a white for an instant. Choose one if you control a commander as you cast this spell. Never going to happen in limited. You may choose both instead. Creatures you control gain flying, vigilance, and double strike until end of turn, or creatures you control gain lifelink, indestructible, and protection from each color until end of turn. So this is a really weird card. I'm going to talk through it, so I'm probably going to change my rating. The thing about this card is that it's a 4-mana, like, tricky effect. Those effects I tend to be pretty low on. Like, Flying Crane Technique is a card that I did not like. I rated it low in my Khans of Tarkir, like, set review, but it was not a review, but it was kind of a review because I hadn't played this anyway. That was 6 mana. This is a lot cheaper than that. It's monocolored. It does have another mode. I think I should move it up. I think this is too low because it provides the ability to, like, maybe end the game out of nowhere. I don't know. I hate these type of cards. Expensive tricks tend to be pretty bad, but I think this one is more flexible than it, like, kind of looks. And it just kind of, like, doesn't, it looks bad. You know what I mean? It's like my limited brain sees this and it goes, nah, it's bad. Bad card. Trick card, bad. Like, 4-mana trick, never good. And then it's just like, it does threaten to end the game. It's like my least favorite type of card, but I am going to move it up to tier 3, I think. And to be honest with you, this might still be too low, but I refuse to go any higher. It says the word commander on it, so I can't put it higher. That's my final verdict. Squall Lion Leonhart, 2 and a white for a 2/2. It has first strike, vigilance, and lifelink, and aura and equipment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. I did not say that sentence correctly, but I don't remember what I actually said, so we're just going to move on. So a 3-mana 2/2 pretty bad, as we just saw with Anafenza from Tarkir Dragonstorm. That ended up being kind of like a tier 3 card, in my estimation. It was maybe better than that. It was kind of fine. I think this is probably better than that, because it has lifelink, and, like, it is a threat that your opponent wants to remove. If you get 1 discount off it, it's pretty good. I think, and it wears the equipment really well, and there's going to be equipment around, and tier 2 is maybe a bit aggressive, but I just think you're going to be able to discount 1 equipment. And if you can discount 1 equipment, it's kind of worth the cost of doing business, because then you can discount the equipment and then equip the equipment to this thing, right? That's kind of like part of the deal, is that because you discount the equipment, your 2-mana equipment that equips for 3, of which there are some in the set, you can play the 2-mana equipment, then equip this on turn 4. Like, that's actually, like, a thing that can happen. Specifically in white with the common. Like, I don't know. I think that's kind of reasonable, and then you're attacking with, like, a 3/3 vigilance lifelink first strike. I don't know. That's sort of the thing I'm seeing. Is it too aggressive for a 2/2? I think I'm gonna leave it here. I think I'm believing in this card. It's also an uncommon. You'll see it frequently. Kenrith the Returned King, 4 and a white for a 5/5. I really don't want to read all through Kenrith's abilities. Single red, all creatures gain trample and haste until end of turn. 1 and a green, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. 2 and a white, target player gains 5 life. 3 and a blue, target player draws a card. 4 and a black, put target creature card from a graveyard into the battlefield under its owner's control, not your control. Kenrith was fine last time we had it, which was in March of the Machine, I think. I'm pretty sure. And it was okay on that bonus sheet. Tier 2, like, the thing with Kenrith is, all the like play, all the people, everybody that's like me and like everybody like all the like entrenched Magic players or most of us are gonna take this card like it's a tier 2 card. In reality, is its strength, its actual real strength, gonna be tier 2? Probably not. It's it's a 5 drop that doesn't really have an ETB unless you have red mana, and then it's a 6 drop. And that's okay there. But it is a threatening card. It's fun. It's a cool card to build around and play with, and kind of get to do all this cool stuff and whatever. But it has gotten worse with time as you know every card has mana 6 now. This is just not as valuable as it used to be. It's probably in reality closer to a tier 3 card. I should just put it down there. Because I mean, I don't know. Even for me, like, am I gonna take this or this? That's that's actually kind of close. I actually don't know which of these I would take. I think it's better than Blessing of the Oracle, but I'm actually not sure that's true. I think that might just be my own bias. Oh, it's too high for Kenrith. I don't. No, you know what? I'm leaving it. Too bad. Too bad. It's a threat. I'm leaving it. I'm leaving Kenrith. I'm respecting Kenrith. Why is the art on this so low res? What's going on with that? Lorien of the Third Path. 2 mana white for a 1/2/1 with Vigilance. When it enters, destroy up to one target artifact or enchantment, and you can tap it to draw. You and target opponent each draw a card. So Lorien was okay in Brothers War. It was like fine. It was a tier 2 card basically. I think this is going to be just as good. Actually, it's going to be slightly worse because that set there were a lot of artifact creatures. This set, the equipment exists, but there's not going to be as many artifact creatures, so the blowouts are probably going to be a little less bad. But yeah, you're going to have a target for this every single game, and even if you don't instantly lose. It is bad. It's really bad, but like, I mean, you're never playing this on turn 3 without a target, but I think you are going to have a target. So, I mean, the decks where you're not going to have a target are like blue-green, maybe, but one of blue-green's uncommons is an 8 mana artifact creature. Blue-black, but those, like the equipment, the black equipment, the blue equipment. There's like, the blue has flying creatures that are artifacts. Blue, like any deck that's a blue deck, I think you're going to have a target. It hits any artifact. Like, it just hits any creature, hits whatever. I don't know. I think Lorien's going to be quite good. Uh, Mangara the Diplomat, or the other name of it. Also, I can't tell. I'm not. I don't know. Honestly, I haven't decided on which of these names I'm gonna read. I'm just gonna read the reprint name instead of the new Final Fantasy name. That's what we're sticking with. 3 and a white for 2/4. It has lifelink. Whenever an opponent attacks with creatures, if 2 or more of those creatures are attacking you or a planeswalker you control, draw a card. Whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, draw a card. One of the things I actually forgot about this set is I don't think there are any planeswalkers in this set. In the same way that there aren't any in Lord of the Rings. There weren't any in that set. So it's something to think about. It does make the format, at the time when Lord of the Rings came out, it was noticeable that there weren't planeswalkers. Now that in Modern Limited, like most sets only have like one planeswalker, most of them, not all of them, it's going to be less noticeable because before Lord of the Rings, it used to be you had like 3 a set, and then they bumped it down to 1. Although last set there was 1, there's 2. Anyway, I don't know why I got on a tangent about that. So this is weird, right? It's a 3 mana 2/4 lifelink, which isn't that good. The effects are good, especially if they don't have a removal spell. But if they do have a removal spell, you're just down horrendously, or a bounce spell, or whatever. It's really good if they don't have a removal spell for it. I just they can like it's not like it's impossible for your opponent to go, okay, play one spell, pass. Like that's a thing that can happen too. Like they don't have to play into this. Yes, it makes their life kind of annoying, but they don't have to like draw you cards. Like they get to choose whether you draw the cards or not. Stroke of Midnight. 2 and a white, instant, destroy target non-land permanent. Its controller creates a 1/1 white human creature token. It's been terrible every time we've seen it. It's not going to be any. It's honestly going to be probably the worst it's ever been in this format, and it was already bad. Giving your opponent a creature with power and toughness is not worth what you're removing and paying 3 mana for. I'm not even sure it would be good if it cost 1 mana. It's unclear to me. It might still be bad, genuinely. Like Path to Exile is like a tier 3 card, and this is a lot worse than Path to Exile. So, like Path to Exile is one of the more overrated limited cards. I don't think it's as overrated as it used to be. I think people kind of know now that hey, giving your opponent free stuff is pretty bad. But yeah, this card is not very good. Wall of Omens, 1 and a white for an 0/4. When it enters, you draw a card. So Wall of Omens doesn't necessarily go in any deck. It's kind of weird because you can start like equipping the Wall of Omens and then like it's a defensive, like it kind of becomes a defensive thing. Like I don't know, it's kind of a thing. Historically a pretty good card. I imagine it'll be pretty good in this set. Obviously you don't really want it in a aggressive deck, but I mean you're allowed to just take this card and draft a little bit more mid-rangey and you're going to be pretty happy, I think. It just gives you an extra permanent. It basically gains you a bunch of life. Really good in slow decks. Yeah, like you could say, oh, it doesn't really have that much synergy with anything in the format, but I just don't really care. Maybe I'm too much of a boomer and just like saying that Wall of Omens is still good, but I think it is. I think it's the really interesting question is it better or worse than the cat from Foundations that was a 1/1? And I think it's better, but I think it's like basically the same. I don't know. Like an 0/4 is an 0/4 better than a 1/1 for this effect. The Defender, unclear. If it didn't have Defender, I would definitely say this is better in this set because of the equipment. But with the Defender, I don't know. Defender's kind of like the worst keyword in Magic, so I don't know. Counter spell, blue for an instant counter target spell. The casting cost on counterspell is more prohibitive in retail limited than any constructed format. Counterspell has consistently been touch overrated every time they've reprinted it. It's still very good. It's a very good card. You can pack one, pick one it. You can whatever, but you do. It is a little bit more of a build around than it looks. Still sweet, still fun, still great, still a good card. Just not completely busted. Terra Branford or Urza Lord High Artificer. 2 blue for a 1/4. When it enters, create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token that has +1/+1 for each artifact you control. You can tap an untapped artifact you control to add blue mana, and you can pay 5 to shuffle your library, exile the top card until end of turn. You may play that card without paying its mana cost. Yeah, Urza's completely busted in this set. It's going to make a token that is likely to be a 3/3 in most game states, I think. At least a 2/2 token. And it's just a huge threat. And it also just like turns all your equipment into mana rocks. I don't know. Like this just seems completely broken to me in this format. Yeah, it's just I don't know. What more do you want? It's Urza. Urza's great. Because they have to kill this thing, or you start getting value off of it too, and then it's just I don't know. It's all over fast once your opponent plays an Urza. Venser Shaper Savant. 2 blue for a 2/2 with flash. When it enters, return target spell or permanent to its owner's hand. It is worse than Urza, but I still think very good. I have rated it the same tier as Urza. I don't know, 4 mana 2/2 bounce something or, you know, remand your opponent's spell is pretty good. Like, is tier 1 probably too high? Yeah. Am I going to draft it like it's tier 1? Yes. Like, it's Venser. Like, Venser's good. You know, it's a card that's been falling out of favor slowly over many years of Magic the Gathering. Used to be one of the best blue cards of all time and is now kind of, you know, overlooked at times, but still a good card in limited and will be good here. Brainstorm. Single blue mana for an instant, draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. It's a fine cantrip. It's one of the more it's going to be one of the more overrated cards in the set, especially by good players. Good players love to overrate Brainstorm for some reason. It's kind of like it is mostly a cantrip in limited. There's some shuffling you can do. There are people who will try to convince you that this card's like broken or something. It's just fine. It's going to get drafted like it's the nuts. It's not. It's just okay. It's a fine card. It's never going to be bad in any deck, but it's never going to be completely broken like it is in Legacy or Vintage or whatever. So fine card. Nothing super exciting. There are some like weird. I think there's like one or two cards that care about drawing a bunch of cards in a turn. So this does that. Um, Interestingly, is now an uncommon on Magic Arena now. I think this means you can craft the Brainstorm with an uncommon. So happy for the people out there that wanted that. Wizards of the Coast, they recently made an actual, a change that was plus EV for the players in the arena economy recently with that. And I don't want to get into it here, but very rare. Cryptic Command, 1 blue for an instant. Choose 2, counter target spell, return target permanent to its owner's hand, tap all creatures your opponents control, and draw a card. Cryptic Command, obviously a very good card. Also a card that is very difficult to cast. We have it in tier 3 for this reason. It's a bit of a build around. It's just not going to go in every deck. It's great when you can cast it. You have to be able to cast it. Casting spells is very important. If this costs 5 mana, it's a lot less good. If it costs 6, it's pretty mediocre. So it's 9/8's not going to cut it as a mana base for Cryptic Command. You obviously play a Cryptic Command in a 9/8 mana base, but you wouldn't be super happy about it. You would be kind of like praying that you find all the right lands. It's just not as free as it looks. Similar to regular counterspell. It's about a tier lower. I mean, it's a tier 1 card if you're mono blue, but you're not mono blue probably. So onwards. Laboratory Maniac, 2 and a blue, 2/2. If you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game instead. Yep, not very good. It just doesn't really come up very often and is a 3-mana 2/2, so I don't have a lot to say about it. It just doesn't block or attack. It just kind of dies. It's a wizard. That type matters. It's kind of it. I don't know. Rhystic Study, 2 and a blue for an enchantment. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may draw a card unless that player pays 1. It's just way too slow. You're paying 3 mana to maybe draw some cards, but even your opponent has control over it, so not very good in limited. Horrible last time they printed it. On to the next one. Teferi Mage of Zhalfir, 2 blue for a 3/4 with flash. Creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield have flash. Each opponent can cast spells only anytime they can cast a sorcery. That ability is like less bad on a 5-drop than it like looks for your opponent. Your opponent is probably going to want to kill this at sorcery speed anyway if they want to remove it. Once again, I am talking about the casting cost of the card. 5 mana for the 3/4 flash is pretty bad. Like that rate is not that good. As is. You can get some sick blowouts. Like if your opponent attacks and then you cast this and it resolves, like you can just eat their thing for free and you like always get to do it. So there's that. You have that going for you. So maybe I could move it up for that reason. I just hate the triple blue. I really do. I hate it a lot. The giving your other creatures flash like doesn't really matter. A lot of your creatures, especially in blue, are going to be spells or equipment. So I just don't think that actually matters. And the casting cost makes it tough. So I'm leaving it in tier 4 for now. I mean, the power level of the card, if you can cast it, is higher than this, but casting cost is considered. Speaking of which, Bolas's Citadel, 3 black for an artifact. You may look at the top card of your library anytime you may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its mana value rather than pay its mana cost. You can pay, tap, and sacrifice 10 non-land permanents. Each opponent loses 10 life. I could go back and look. Actually, no, I'm actually going to go back and look, because I haven't actually looked at its original stats, but I imagine they weren't very good. I stand corrected. This was actually pretty good in War of the Spark, so I'm going to believe that it's going to be good again. I also want it to be good, so I just went and looked at its stats in War of the Spark, and I was like, oh, 58, that's pretty good. Especially, well, at the time, that was a little bit worse than it is now, but yeah, I don't know, Boros, I mean, the formats are a little faster these days than they were 5 years ago, but apparently Bolas' Citadel was nuts, because if you don't lose the game by turn 6, you probably win the game, and I'm gonna just trust that. I mean, it's good. It's a fun card. It's certainly a fun card, so I will be taking it very highly. And the win rate was commensurate with the card that wins you the game. So not a perfect card, but it definitely seems like it's worth it. I am trusting the history on this one. Dark Ritual, on the other hand, single black mana for an instant, add 3 mana. truly horrible in Strixhaven. The problem with Dark Ritual is whatever you ritual out, removal has gotten so good these days that realistically, if you play a 3-drop on turn 1, your opponent can just spend a 2-mana removal spell and kill it most of the time. Then you get 2 for 1, and then you lose the game. If you have Bolas of Citadel in your deck, Dark Ritual is probably worth playing. That's the only time I could see playing a Dark Ritual, but these are both rares on the bonus sheet, so that's never going to happen. If it does happen, congratulations. You could probably play Dark Ritual in your deck. And even then, it's probably not that good. You really, like, Dark Ritual is a card you could play in your deck huge build around. Like, you need to be drawing, like, you need to have a lot of ways to get card advantage, you need to have a lot of ways to, like, interact with the board. You just need the perfect concoction of cards, and even, I looked at the Strixhaven win rates, horrible. Just horrible. Yeah, it's just a terrible card in Strixhaven, and I can't imagine it's going to be any better here, given that it's so rare. Fatal Push, single black for an instant, destroy target creature if it has mana value 2 or less. Revolt, destroy that creature instead if it has mana value 4 or less, if a permanent you controlled left the battlefield this turn. Yeah, it's just a classic efficient removal spell. It's not quite as good in limited as it is in constructed. The pedigree is, of course, extremely high with Fatal Push. It's, Revolt is not the easiest thing to trigger ever, but just 1 mana kill a 2-drop is really good. You'll see that I haven't put it in tier 1. Because again, for that reason, Revolt is just not that easy to trigger in limited compared to constructed, but still going to be a good card, still going to go in every black deck, still going to be really happy to draft it. Sir Conrad the Grim, 3 black for a 5/4. Whenever another creature dies, or a creature card is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves your graveyard, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. And you can pay 1 and a black to have each player mill a card. So this card was like okay in Wilds of Eldraine, a format that I have never played. It's actually not true. I think I did play it once. I think I did like 1 or 2 drafts of Wilds of Eldraine when it was back on Flashback one time because it gets hyped. It gets hyped up quite a bit. I didn't. It's fine. It's a fine format. This card was okay in that format. I think it's considerably worse in this format, considering that it just is like a 5/4 that doesn't do anything when it ETBs, and Magic the Gathering is a faster game. Although the Wilds of Eldraine is one of the more powerful standard legal sets ever. So I don't know. I think it was okay in that format, but I don't think it's going to be very good here. I don't even think. I assume this is not that good in Wilds of Eldraine too. I could just go. You know what? We did this with Dark Ritual. Let's go, or with Bolas of Citadel. Let's go look it up again. Fine, I'll move it up. It's also Throne of Eldraine, not Wilds of Eldraine. Wilds of Eldraine was the one that I actually did play. Throne of Eldraine. That's what I meant to say. Yeah, it was actually okay. The 160% of its games of Throne of Eldraine. We got to move it up. We got to respect it. I have to respect it more. I still think it's quite bad in this set because it just is a 5-drop that I can't imagine. I look at this card and I even looking at the Eldraine stuff, I'm like, how does this not just die to every removal spell in the format? Like, how does it not? Like, it has no ETB. It just die. It just obviously it does, like when your board attacks and then trades off. It does work with your opponent's creatures, so there's that. It does. You can start milling. Surely this is terrible, right? Like surely this is like a 5-drop that doesn't do anything in this format. I'm leaving it here. I'm not getting baited. I'm not getting baited by its past performance. I refuse, even though I think it's probably maybe a little. It's just a fine 5-drop. Like really, are you really gonna put a 5-drop in like tier 2? Am I really gonna do it? Honestly, this could end up just being like my worst take of all time because like we literally have like the numbers are out for it. It's just like I mean, how did it win so much in Throne of Eldraine? Somebody tell me this. How is this possible? I know it triggers when every creature, like it double triggers on stuff. I don't know. I don't believe it. It has to prove it to me. It's got to prove it to me again. Yawgmoth, Thran Physician, on the other hand, 2 black, 2/4, protection from humans. Pay 1 life, sacrifice another creature, put a -1/-1 counter on up to 1 a target creature, and draw a card. You can pay black to discard a card and proliferate. Yeah, this card's just very busted. It is just insanely great. It picks off all the job select creature tokens. It uses your job select creature tokens well. It uses your wizard creature tokens well. Yawgmoth's insane. It's just draws you like it's 0 mana to just draw like 3 cards and then kill your opponent's board and whatever. It's just insane. Protection from humans also relevant at times. Deadly Dispute. 1 and a black for an instant as an additional cost to cast it, sacrifice an artifact or creature, draw 2 cards, and create a treasure token. Yeah, this card was actually insanely strong last time we saw it, which was in AFR. It was like, I think it might have been Black's best common. I think it's going to be better in this set, genuinely. Like, I think this is going to be like a really important card for Black. With all the equipment, you can just sack an equipment, you can sack a token, you can sack wizards. Like, this just seems completely insane to me. I don't know. I'm putting it a very high respect grade of tier 2. Like, is it the same tier as Fatal Push? You could convince me that it's better to take this card than Fatal Push pick 1. And I'm listening to that argument. I think this might be better than Fatal Push. So, especially to just take early because the effect is not as common as it was in AFR, where you could just get this like pick 5 and you would be like, oh my god, I'm winning the whole draft now. Yeah, it just seems very powerful to me. Diabolic Intent. Single 1 and a black for a sorcery. It's an additional cost to cast this spell. Sacrifice a creature, search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, and shuffle. So Demonic Tutor, but you have to pay a sacrifice cost. Normal Demonic Tutor is fine, but having to sacrifice something for your Demonic Tutor is terrible. So, yeah, not worth it. We saw it in Brothers War, not worth it. Speaking of cards we saw in Brothers War, Gix, Yawgmoth, Praetor. I don't know why Gix is a big Minotaur. I don't know what the deal is. 1 black for a 3/3. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, its controller may pay 1 life. If they do draw a card, they draw a card, and you can pay 4 black and discard X cards. Exile the top X cards of target opponent's library. You may play lands and cast spells from among cards exiled this way without paying their mana costs. An ability that comes up more often than you would think, actually, or it did in Brothers War. It came up like somewhat frequently. Like if you had Gix in your deck and you were to play like 10 games with a deck, it would probably be like something that you were thinking about doing at least in one of those games. Like it would come up pretty frequently. Like it would be on your mind. You know what I mean? It's not a completely blank line of text. The rest of the text is completely busted though, so you don't really need to think about it that hard. It's a great card. Crick, Son of Yawgmoth. 4 black. The black are all Phyrexian black mana. For 2/2 with lifelink, for each swamp and a mana cost, you may pay 2 life rather than pay that mana. Whenever you cast a black spell, put a +1/+1 counter on it. This was terrible in Modern Horizons 3. It's going to be slightly better because it's not going up against the power level of a Modern Horizons set. With that being said, it's still a terrible card. It's a 4 mana 2/2 that also loses you 6 life when you cast it. So that's it from that one. Vagaroth, Blood Sky Sire. 2 and a black, 2/3 with Death Touch, and it has Boast for 1 and a black. Target player searches their library for a card and then shuffles and puts that card on top. Boast, for those who do not remember, you can activate it once this attacks. So on turn 4, if this attacked, you could activate it, and you can activate it as an instant, so you can activate it before it dies. It doesn't have to get in. It's fine. This, I think, it was like kind of fine in Kaldheim. I think it's going to be fine here. It's a good 3-drop. Boasting to tutor for your best card and put it on top. Boasting like to vamp tutor is an effect that is okay. The nice thing about this is the worst case scenario is you're like trading to do that, which is still like you're pretty like okay with that. Like you're like, yeah, this will die maybe, but you get to get the best card in your deck, and then you trade with your opponent's creature. They kind of have to block because if they don't, you just get to keep drawing whatever card you want every turn, which is probably really good. 2 mana to Vamp Tutor is not a good effect on its own, but 3 mana 2/3 Death Touch just isn't that bad, and the fact that you can get this extra effect on that body is strong. Ancient Copper Dragon. 4 red for a 6/5. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, roll a d20. You create a number of treasure tokens equal to the result. Yeah, 6 mana 6/5 flying is okay, like pretty good. I should probably even move it a bit higher. Like it's not that bad. Making the treasure tokens is sort of whatever. Yeah, the rate's just kind of fine. It was fine on HPG. I don't know. I'm gonna move it up a bit. I think it's a little too harsh, even though it's Does no ETB and is a 6-drop. I do think it's still going to be a fine card. Making the treasure tokens, like, do you really care? Like, sometimes you do. It's fun. Like, sometimes it's fun. I don't know. It's cool. Godo Bandit Warlord, 5 in a red for a 3/3 Barbarian. When it enters, you may search your library for an equipment card, put it onto the battlefield, and then shuffle. So that is basically just like tutor whatever the best equipment creature in your deck is. And when it attacks for the first time each turn, untap it and all samurai you control. After this phase, there's additional combat phase. So when you think about it, right, 6 mana, 3/3, tutor your best hero equipment, which in a lot of red decks is going to be you're going to have one copy of the common that is a 4/3. That's pretty good. Like 6 mana for a 3/3 and a 4/3 that also gets you an equipment on the battlefield. I don't know. That seems pretty powerful to me. And I think that's going to happen in most red decks. And then this is a thing that your opponent, like, it gets value, like it draws you a card essentially, it puts it on in the battlefield, and then your opponent still has to deal with it because, if you equip this thing, it's going to be like a 5/4, and then it's attacking twice, and they have to block it and whatever. So, yeah, just seems like a solid card. I expect it to be pretty good, but you do need to build around it a little bit, but it's not going to be it's going to be pretty trivial to get that done in this set. Porphyros, God of the Forge. We just had this in Pioneer Masters. 3 and a red for a 6/5 with Indestructible. It is a god. As long as your devotion to red is less than 5, it is not a creature. Whenever another creature you control enters, it deals 2 damage to each opponent, and you can pay 2 in a red to give creatures you control +1/+0 until end of turn. Very powerful effect. It is a card that does not impact the board by itself, so it gets better the more red of a deck you are. Unfortunately, red's 2-drop job select equipment is pretty bad, so this is going to be made worse as a result of that fact. But the fact of the matter is, like, Porphyros is just a pretty good card. It's a big threat. Your opponent can't really deal with it super easily. If it ever becomes a creature, you kind of just win the game. Even if it's not ever a creature, it's dealing 2 damage like per creature that enters. It's very, very good in any aggressive deck as a top end sort of curve topper. It's not a perfect card, but I think it's strong enough to warrant the tier 2 rating. Captain Lannery Storm. 2 in a red for a 2/2 with haste. When it attacks, create a treasure token, and whenever you sacrifice a treasure, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Yeah, I mean, Captain Storm is kind of sort of a fine limited 3-drop. Actually, didn't we have this in... We had this on a bonus sheet recently, didn't we? I should actually go check, because it was in DMU's bonus sheet? Hold on, let me look. Alright, whatever, I forget which one it was. But I think it's fine. 2/2 haste for 3 is not the best, but it's kind of more of a 3/2 haste. It kind of ramps you. Kind of fixes. Even if you trade off with it, with their 2-drop, it's the worst. It's not the worst. This is probably a bit aggressive, but it's a good card. I don't know. I kind of want to be a hater and move it down because the rate's so bad. But it does kind of like, it's just this, I feel like it's just kind of always, it's one of those cards that like looks bad and I like want to move it down. But then I'm like, there's just enough. Is there really though? Because like the job select equipment is all 2/1s, except for the red one, which is terrible. People are going to be playing 2-drops in this format. A lot of the 2-drops are good. I want to move it down, I do. I really do. Like this versus Light Up the Stage. It might be worse than Light Up the Stage. I'm going to swap it and Light Up the Stage. I don't know, maybe I'm being too much of a hater, but I'm being a hater nonetheless. It's somewhere in that range. I just don't like this type of card. It's just so understand, but it's so fine when it gets in. It's like fine. It's not even like you don't just win the game when it gets in. It has 2 toughness. All right, on to Light Up the Stage, which I just moved up. 2 in a red, Spectacle for a single red. Exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play those cards. So Spectacle means you can cast it for 1 if you dealt damage to your opponent this turn. That's going to be pretty easy to do in most red decks. This is one of the most efficient card draw spells in red ever. So, it's really good. It is easy to enable. It was pretty good last time we had it in a set. I forget when that was. Yeah, I don't know. Let's Light Up the Stage. Light Up the Stage is good. Not as good as Lightning Bolt. Single red, deal 3 to any target. It is my favorite card of all time. And as a result, it is getting put into Tier 1. This is the first time Lightning Bolt has been printed at quote-unquote below rare in a set in a while, and it will show up. Like I said, it is an uncommon. Uncommons are going to be actually relevant players in the format. This is going to be in the format. You have to play around Lightning Bolt in this format. Be advised. It's going to be around. I will be picking it over every other card in the entire set, maybe. It's certainly possible that I might do that. It is my favorite card of all time, so we will see. But obviously a very powerful effect. Mizzix Mastery, 3 and a red for a sorcery. Exile target card that's an instant or sorcery from your graveyard. For each card exiled this way, copy it, and you may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. Exile this card, and you can overload and target every spell in your graveyard. 4 or 5 red, red, red. So 8 mana. This is fine. It's a fine card. Fun card, very fun card. Tier 4 is probably a little bit low because when you do get to 8 mana, it's kind of a win condition. It's worth bumping up. Let's not be this harsh on it. I punished it too harshly for being a build around. It is just very, very powerful. I don't think it's going to be as good as it was in Strixhaven. In Strixhaven, it was like one of the best cards in the set. It's not going to be that good, I don't think. Just because, A, there's no combo with. I mean, I guess Magma Opus is like another mythic. Like how much does that actually matter? Not really. But there were a lot of instants and sorceries in Strixhaven. There's not that many in this set. Like Strixhaven was about doing this thing. Like this is what Strixhaven was about, and it was like one of the best cards in that set. I don't think this is going to be quite as good as it was in Strixhaven. Still a good card though. It's 4 mana draw card. Whatever your best card in your graveyard is. It's a bit of a build around. It's fun. Would I take it or Lightning Bolt? I mean, I would take Lightning Bolt. That's just me. Some people would take Mizzix Mastery. I'm taking Lightning Bolt every day. Najeela the Blade Blossom. 2 and a red for a 3/2. When a warrior attacks, this is a warrior, but there's not that many. I'm sure there's some warriors around. I don't really want to bother looking. There's probably not a ton. There's some. Probably something. There's probably like 1 or 2 in white, maybe 1 in red. Something like that. Its controller creates you may have its controller create a 1/1 white warrior creature token that's tapped and attacking, so you don't actually have to do it if it's not doing anything. Pay Woobird to untap all attacking creatures. They gain trample, lifelink, and haste until end of turn. After this phase, their additional combat phase activate only during combat. So that ability is not going to happen very often. This is just a fine 3-drop. It's not super exciting. If you have random miscellaneous warriors, it gets better. It's a lot worse than Adeline. There we go. Because it's a lot smaller. But still okay. Ragavan, Nimble Pilfer. Single red for a 2/1. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token and exile the top card of that player's library until end of turn. You may pass that card. It has dash for 1 and a red. Notably, this card says the word tribal on it, which I thought was illegal in the year 2025, so I'm sure somebody will be mad about it. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously Ragavan's one of the best cards ever, one of the best 1-drops of all time. It might not be Ocelot Pride in Modern, but in Limited, it's sure better than Ocelot Pride. Unless your opponent has Ocelot Pride, and then that would be bad. If your opponent has Ocelot Pride in this set, you're gonna watch out. Not a card that's legal to have in your deck in this set, but if it were, think about it. Something to think about. Ragavan's great. I don't know why I'm talking too much about Ragavan. I have like limited time on this planet. All of the green side, all of like almost every single one of the green cards on this bonus sheet sucks. So just I don't know why, but that's something I noticed. Azusa Lost But Seeking, 2 and a green for a 1/2. You may pay 2 additional lands on each of your turns. So you run out of lands very, very fast. Is kind of the thing with this. Like it's like, oh, I got 2 land, I get to play. Oh, I get the 5 mana on turn 3, and then you're like, oh well, I don't have any more lands. So I sure hope this 5-drop that I cast once wins the game. It's kind of like Dark Ritual in some ways. It's better than Dark Ritual in some ways, but it's also worse in some ways. Where like, yeah, I mean you can play a 5-drop, but your opponent's removal spell is probably going to be able to kill your 5-drop, and then if you're not drawing cards to make up for that, you played a 3 mana 1/2 and are behind. Like you have to really, really mean it with this card. Next Bloom, Ancient, 4 green, green, green for a 5/5 with Trample. If you tap a permanent for mana, it produces 3 times as much of that mana instead. Even in Theros Beyond Death, which was like this literally the slowest format in the history of Magic the Gathering Arena, this card was pretty bad, and this format is not going to be the slowest format in the history of Magic the Gathering Arena, so it's going to be worse than it was in that format, and it was already bad, so Carpet of Flowers. I don't really whatever. I'll just read it. Single color green at the beginning of your main phase. Each of your main phases, if you haven't added mana with this ability this turn, you may add X mana of any one color. X is the number of islands your opponent controls. So obviously, sometimes your opponent doesn't play islands, and so this is literally a mulligan. Onwards, Farseek, actually kind of a reasonable card. 1 and a green for sorcery. Search your library for a plains, island, swamp, or mountain card. Put it onto the battlefield tapped, shuffle. So 3 mana for this effect is pretty bad. We've seen it be not that good. There's actually a common 3 mana version of this effect that gives a counter as well. 2 mana, a lot less. It's basically Explore. It's worse than Explore, but not. Sometimes it's better. Sometimes it's better than Explore. Sometimes it's worse than Explore. Explore's a fine card. You kind of, it's another card that you do kind of have to mean it. You do kind of have to want what this is doing, but you could basically put this in any green deck and it's going to be fine. Has a lot of potential to scale up. Not the best thing ever, but pretty reasonable. It does does fix your mana, and it ramps you. So Farseek is all right. Finn the Fangbearer. 1 and a green for a 1/3 with Death Touch. When a creature you control with Death Touch deals combat damage to a player, that player gets 2 poison counters. Notably, there's a Wombo combo with the 1 mana 1/1 Death Touch at common in green with this. Think about it. That's actually a thing. Like this is Finn the Fangbearer. It was quite good in Kaldheim. I don't know why Matt Smith is on the card. He's not Matt Smith. It's just whatever. Anyway, I'm jokes that aren't even jokes. That's where we're at. Yeah, it's good. Finn the Fangbearer was a good card. It kind of like overperformed in Kaldheim, and like people sort of like overlooked it. I certainly would have overlooked it had I been playing at the time, and it was good there. It's going to be pretty good here. Where's equipment okay? Is sort of its own like, hey, sometimes Finn the Fangbearer, you're on 6 poison counters and you're sitting there like, man, I got to kill this thing, and like you don't have a removal spell, and then you're kind of in a blender sometimes. It does actually happen. Nature's Claim. Destroy target a single green for an instant. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Its controller gains 4 life. Not worth it. Yes, there's a lot of artifacts, but a lot of the artifacts are 2-for-1s in the job select equipment. Technically, you could play this out of the sideboard, but even there, it's probably bad. People will over sideboard this card. Your opponent would have to have. I don't even know what card. Like, it's not good. It's not a good card even out of the board. Primeval Titan, 4 green green for a 6/6 with trample. When this creature enters or attacks, you may search your library for up to 2 land cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, and shuffle. I'm kind of being a hater and giving this a tier 3 rating. It's probably tier 2. It's just not that good. Like, Primeval Titan is just kind of whatever. It's not Grave Titan. It's not even Sun Titan. It's probably worse than Frost Titan in Limited these days. Getting 2 lands is just not that good. Yes, there is landfall in the set, and so for that reason, it's probably fine. 6 mana, 6/6 trample. It does ramp you. I'm probably being a little too disrespectful to Primeval Titan, so I will move it up to tier 2. Onwards, Joe to the Unifier. So Wooburg for a 5/5. Legendary creatures you control get +X/+X, where X is the number of legendary creatures you control. Whenever you cast a legendary spell from your hand, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a legendary non-land card with lesser mana value. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost, but the rest of on the bottom of your library in a random order. So Joe to the Unifier was medium to bad in Dominaria United. It was like a card that you could play, and it was like this meme, and it kind of worked, and you actually could kind of do it. I actually think this is good in this set. I don't know, man. There's so many legends. I think this is worth doing, and I think that you can do it too. Like, I think that you can actually achieve this. I would take this and play it. Like, I would take this, pack one, pick one, and try to build around it. And I think it can actually be, like, good instead of just terrible but fun in Dominaria United. Now, it's still a Wooburg card in a format where mana fixing is okay, but pretty average. So it's not the easiest thing to cast, but I mean, you're obviously all of your legends get at least +1/+1 because it's on the battlefield, and you're just gonna be like, this is a huge threat. Like, I feel like this just like the cascading legends thing is actually real, and I don't know, man. It's like I think this is a thing. I think this is actually a thing in this format. So I'm kind of optimistic about Joe to the Unifier. Timna, I don't know. The Weaver. 1 white black for a 2/2 with lifelink. At the beginning of each of your post-combat main phases, you may pay X life, where X is the number of opponents who were dealt combat damage this turn. If you do draw X cards. It does have partner, which is not a mechanic that is relevant to limited. So, this is actually a tough one, right? It's a 3-mana 2/2 lifelink, which is pretty bad. But if you play it on turn 3 and attack, your opponent is forced to block with their 2-drop. That's like a powerful ability. And if they don't, for whatever reason, if they can't, you get to draw a card and lose 1 life, which is pretty powerful. Like, every time your opponent gets dealt combat damage, if you have a flying creature, if you have whatever, like, this is powerful. It is bad on defense. It does do nothing sometimes, but your opponent has to respect it and has to kill it pretty quickly, I think. I maybe am over-indexing on this. I do think maybe this is a bit of a high rating. Like, I am concerned about the power and toughness. But I mean, like, you're not forced to do this either, so like you can not, like, if you're at like 3 life in the late game, you don't have to like kill yourself when you attack. Like, that's kind of a thing that actually does matter sometimes. I'm really concerned about the 2, man. I'm really concerned about ever being on the draw with this, and then just, alright, I'm gonna move it to tier 3, because what if you're on the draw sometimes? Like, sometimes you are just on the draw, and that's a sad state of affairs. You never want to be on the draw, but when you're on the draw with this card, it's pretty bad. Winota, Joiner of Forces. 2 red-white for a 4/4. Whenever a non-human creature you control attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You put a human creature card from among them onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. It gains indestructible until end of turn. Put the rest of the cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. This is weird. I kind of am rating this as a 4-mana 4/4 that usually, but you have to have a good attack anyway. But like, sometimes you just spike a thing for free. It's indestructible. Like, you get the ETBs. There's decent. I mean, there's the normal number of humans in this set, if not more than usual. I mean, that's pretty good. It's kind of like what you want. Is tier 2 too high? Probably. In Ikoria, which is the set that this is from, it was, I think, pretty busted. I can go look. I can go look at all the sets for these cards for the most part. Yeah, it was pretty busted in Ikoria. I think it's going to be a little worse in not Ikoria, but it's probably still going to be pretty good. Again, one of the reasons this will be a little bit worse is the equipment creature stuff. Like, you're going to be playing fewer creatures in your deck than you were in Ikoria. Probably. Surprising this thing's win rate's so high in Ikoria, given that red-white was like the cycling deck, but I don't know, it is just a good 4-drop. It's powerful, so it's sick with this. Although no, it's the other way around. Anyway, Atraxa Grand Unifier. If for some reason you've been living under a rock and don't know what this card does, 3 green, white, blue, black for a 7/7 with Flying Vigilance, Death Touch, and Lifelink. When it enters, reveal the top 10 cards of your library for each card type. You may put a card of that type from among the revealed cards into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Yeah, Atraxa is really great. It was one of the best cards in a format that was one of the fastest limited formats of all time. So it's going to be one of the best cards in a format that probably isn't one of the fastest limited formats of all time. Also, that's kind of my take. Maybe it's a bit of a hot take. Bruised Tarl Boorish Herder. 2 red, white for a 3/3. When it enters or attacks, target creature you control gains double strike and lifelink until end of turn. So it's pretty sick, right? So your 4-drop, you make your 3-drop have double strike lifelink. Your opponent is pretty sad about it. If you're ever racing, they just have to kill this. It has an ETB. Solid. Good 4-drop. No complaints. No notes. Really sick to hit off Winota. If you hit this off Winota somehow, you win the game, probably. I don't know. Anyway, on to Dolvin's Veto. White, blue for a instant. It can't be countered. Counter target non-creature spell. There's not enough targets. Even though a lot of the creatures are, in fact, artifacts, still not enough targets. Still misses too much. Too situational. Yeah, just not very good, really. It's like, I mean, it's better than it would be in a normal set, but I don't think it's good enough to put in your deck. I do think that you could sideboard this card, unlike some of the other tier 5 cards. I do think this one is sideboardable, and I think there could be a spot for it. But yeah, not a priority. Oh god. Inala Archmage Ritualist. 2 blue, black, red for 4/5. With Eminence, which doesn't work in limited except when it's on the battlefield. Whenever another non-token wizard you control enters, if it is in the command zone or on the battlefield, you may pay 1. If you do create a token that's a copy of that wizard, the token gains haste, exile at the beginning of the next end step. Tap 5 untapped wizards you control, target player loses 7 life. It is actually attainable to have 5 untapped wizards, including this one, on the battlefield at the same time. And that ability does basically win you the game if you get to do it. But it's not going to be easy. So, tier 5 is maybe too low, but a 5-mana 4/5 that does stone. Well, okay, tier 5 is too low. I think I need to move it up a bit. Because there is the common red. Like, this is kind of, like, you do pretty much win the game if you get to go this into the red 3-drop wizard. Because then you have 5 wizards in tap and ping your opponent for 7. That's pretty good. That interaction alone is enough for me to bump it up a bit. The problem is that a lot of the wizards are tokens in this set. Like, a lot of the things are tokens, so it's going to be tough to... It is a 5-mana 4/5, which is pretty bad. Like, it's mostly a 5-mana 4/5 that just dies to any removal spell. So, it's still not very good, but I literally, for that one interaction, I am bumping it up a whole tier, because that interaction is actually pretty good and doable. I don't know, maybe I'm just like way too low on this. This is a card I could see being wrong on, but to be honest with you, being wrong on a rare on the bonus sheet is not the worst place to be wrong. I'm not wrong about this one. Probably Ishai, Ojutai, Dragon Speaker, 2 blue, white for a 1/1 with flying. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, put a +1/+1 counter on it. That's horrible because, you know, your opponent is very likely ahead on board if you're playing a 4-mana 1/1 flyer and dies to any removal spell if it actually gets out of hand. Imagine like a bounce spell exists. Like, there's the 2-mana, the modal bounce spell in blue, like, that everybody's going to have a copy of in their deck because it's just so easy to find a use for it. This card just gets completely owned by that. Dies to, you know, any 2-mana removal spell. Dies to creatures, can't block. I don't know. It's got a lot of problems. If it was whenever a player casts a spell, it would be like, ooh, interesting. But no. Ishin, 2 heavens as 1. Red, white, black for a 3/4. If a creature attacking causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Yeah, this card was horrible in Neon Dynasty, and I expect it to be equally horrible in this format because, like, once again, it's in a format where there's not that many attack triggers. So there might even be fewer of them than there were in Neon Dynasty. So I actually think there are fewer. So yeah, it's terrible. Anyway, Kinnan Bonder Prodigy. Blue-green for a 2/2. Whenever you tap a non-land permanent for mana, add 1 mana of any type that permanent produced, and you can pay 5 blue-green to look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a non-human creature card from among them onto the battlefield, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. We had Kinnan in a set somewhat recently. It might have been MH3, I think they reprinted it, and it was like okay. It's going to be okay in this set. There are a couple of mana rocks, but it's fine. Kinnan's fine. It's not exciting. It's kind of a little bit of a build around. You kind of want to play the mana rocks with it. The activated ability is okay. It will likely draw you a card and put the card on the battlefield. So it is good, but there's lots of places to put your mana. I don't think you need to put it into your 2-drop. But it's fine. It's a fine 2-drop. Crom Ludwig's Opus. 3 blue-red for a 4/4 with flying and haste. Whenever an opponent casts their second spell each turn, draw a card. Yeah, I mean, 5-mana 4/4 flying haste is pretty dang good. Why is this in tier 2 and not tier 1? It's a 5-mana 4/4 flying haste. What am I doing? Like, what am I actually doing? Yeah, it dies to removal, but like I don't know. It's a flying haste for 5 mana. It's pretty hard to think of a card like there's not that many cards in the set that are better than this. Is it worse than Lightning Bolt? Yeah, but like that's not. Come on. In my opinion, it is. But like I don't know. It's great. I don't know. I'm gonna take this card high. That's the long and the short of it. Muldrotha the Gravetide. I really like the art on this one. Could get me in trouble. Don't want to get in trouble for complimenting art on these cards. That could, there could be ramifications. 3 blue, red, blue, green, black for a 6/6. During each of your turns, you may play a land and cast a permanent spell of each permanent type from your graveyard. Very powerful card. The reason it is tier 2 is that it is a 6-mana 6/6 that requires 3 colors of mana to cast, but it is powerful. It is worth taking and building around a little bit. Blue-green should have no problem casting it. This is a blue-green card more than like it's like the blue-green deck's going to play this card. Yeah, I don't really have more to say. I mean, it's just going to go really nicely in that deck. It's kind of rampy. It helps you value all that stuff. It does just die to any removal spell though. Thrasios Triton Hero. Blue-green for a 1/3 with the ability you can pay 4 colorless mana to scry 1, then reveal the top card of your library. If it's a land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped. Otherwise, draw a card. Oh, I thought this didn't draw a card. Hold on. What are we doing? This is what happens when you're just trying to rip through this as fast as possible because you want to get it out kind of quick and you didn't. Whatever. Anyway. Yeah, 4 mana to draw a card, and sometimes you ramp. That's really good. It's a good 2-drop. It does also have partner. That's a commander ability. Doesn't matter. Yeah, great 2. I don't know. 2-drop that just threatens to start drawing cards on turn 4 and ramps you sometimes. Seems really good to me. Landfall and such things. Vial Smasher the Fierce. 1 black, red for a 2/3. When you cast your first spell each turn, choose an opponent at random. It will deal damage equal to that spell's mana value to that player or a planeswalker that player controls. So, that's a lot of damage. This is a 3 mana 2/3 with no relevant combat abilities, though, and it just dies to everything. So that's quite bad. You have to admit that's quite bad. For a fellow like me, that's not something I want. So I have it in tier 3. Maybe that's too low. I originally had it higher and I moved it down because I was like, sure, it doesn't have any ETB triggers. It's also only the first spell, so you can't play this and trigger at the same turn. Something to think about as well. Yuriko the Tiger's Shadow. 1 black blue for a 1/3 with Commander Ninjutsu, which works as like regular ninjutsu as well. You can ninjutsu it from your hand, but also it works from the command zone, which is again not super relevant. Whenever a ninja you control deals combat damage to a player, I think this is the only one in the set. There's a bunch of samurais, but I don't think there's any other ninjas. Maybe there's like there's some rogues. Reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. Each opponent loses life equal to that card's mana value. Ninjutsu is a very powerful ability, especially 2 mana ninjutsu. Getting to rebuy all of your, getting to rebuy your ETBs. This one draws you a card when it hits. It also sometimes hits your opponent for extra damage. Very powerful card. Unless Commander Ninjutsu doesn't work, but I'm pretty sure it does. So, I'm pretty sure it works from your hand as well. So, I'm like 99% sure that it works. If it doesn't work, this card is pretty terrible, but I think that it does. So, you can come complain to me if it doesn't work. I will apologize. I will show contrition if that happens. Thraxos, Scourge of Krug. 4 colorless mana for a 7/7. It has Trample, and it enters tapped and doesn't untap during your untap step. Whenever you cast a historic spell, untap it. This is going to be really good in this set. Tier 1 is probably where maybe you should go, because it is a colorless card, and it's very powerful. Every single deck is going to have enough legendary spells to... I mean, all the legends in the set, there's tons of those. Artifacts... Oh no, this works with artifacts too. Yeah, this is just insane, I think. Yeah, this just goes in every deck. I think it works with artifacts. I forget historic, whatever. Either way, even with just the legends, it's good enough. It's 7/7 trample for 4. Sometimes it even has vigilance. That's kind of a thing. You get to go attack and then you untap on your turn instead of sometimes this is upside, right? On turn 4 it's downside, but on turn 5 or on turn 6 you whatever. If you have two legendary spells on turn 5, you can go, or historic spells, you can go. I know sagas are historic, so I think maybe artifact, I forget, whatever. It does not matter. This card's great. You're gonna be able to untap it. It's gonna hit your opponent has to deal with it, and it's huge. Chromatic Lantern, 3 colorless for an artifact. Lands you control have tapped to add 1 mana of any color, and this artifact has the ability to tap to add 1 mana of any color. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's fixing. It's a card that's not very good. There's better ways of fixing in the set. This is the second best Manalith in the set, so there's that. Smuggler's Copter. 2 colorless for a 3/3 with flying. When it attacks or blocks, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card, and does crew 1. We have seen in this set the worse fixed Smuggler's Copter at common. That is a 3/2 that is just worse than Smuggler's Copter in basically every way. And this is good. This is the real Smuggler's Copter, a card that you can pack 1, pick 1 out of any pack, and that's why it's in tier 1. Is it the strongest card in the set? No. Is it the easiest card to take, pack 1, pick 1? Yes, and for that reason, it has been elevated to the tier 1 status, where it belongs, in my opinion. Strixhaven Stadium, the 3rd best mana rock in the set. 3 colorless mana. Actually, this is the 4th because this is a Manalith, so the 3rd best Manalith, whatever. Put a point counter on this artifact. Tap to add colorless when you do that. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, remove a point counter from this artifact. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to an opponent, put a point counter on this artifact. Then if it has 10 or more point counters on it, remove them all, and that player loses the game. If this were to reach 10 point counters, and you weren't already winning the game, that would be impressive, to be honest. Hitting your opponent 10 times while tapping for mana 4 times, and them not hitting you a single time, that's it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be really tough to engineer a spot where this wins. A rock, if this was 2 mana, oh baby, that would be a different story. But it's not. it's 3, so not very good. And the last card is kind of a dud, unfortunately. Command Beacon is a land that taps for colorless mana, and you can tap it to sacrifice it and put a commander into your hand from the command zone, which is not a thing. So it's just a colorless land, so it is unplayable. And that's it. That's all of the hopefully all of them. Hopefully I didn't miss any of them. And if I missed one, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm not rushed. This wasn't rushed. I wasn't rushing to make this. You were rushing to make this. It wasn't me. Nah, I'd never do that. I got like a haircut in between the last set. Anyways, see you next time.